What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon Kindle and Create Space. A link will be in the description box below as usual. The title to this video is Now She Wants Me to Be a Father. This is what happens when you get pushed back and you're always in beef when you're actually trying to be a father, and then your child's mother all of a sudden wants you to be a father, so now you don't get as much pushback. So normally, just stereotypically, normally what happens is you got guys who are actually trying to be in their kids' lives, and these are for the guys who are trying to be in their kids' lives, where you call, get no answer. You come by, you get no answer. You set up dates, they're always flaking out. You set up weekends, all of a sudden something magically pops up to do, always on the time that's your weekend. You set up days, it's always something. When you're trying to have conversations with your child, it's always if you're talking to them on the phone, the mother's in the background listening, telling the kid what to say and what not to say. One of those situations where your kid is kind of groomed to dislike you or hate you or disrespect you or to be in fear of you because their mother will portray you in your presence as something wrong and as a punishment, in a sense, like I'm gonna send you to your daddy. No, mama, no. He's gonna feed me to his children. No, I'm a vegetarian. No, I'm just playing. But it's one of those things, right? And you wind up in these back and forth conflicts where you as a father are seeing these things because on a regular basis, and you're seeing what's not going to work in the future for your child. So y'all having these back and forth issues, and because you're not on the same, you don't view parenting the same way. People say you wind up not spending as much time with your child as you should. And there are people who say, "Why don't you just go to court? Go to court." Well, I think people got to understand. People obviously are talking in in an idealistic sense, where you can go to court, but there is no time limit on when they're gonna enforce the law. So what I mean by that is, if you keep going to court, it has to, for the most part, for it to be effective, you got to keep going for the same thing over and over again. Now, people feel like you should pay child support. You shouldn't have to keep paying court fees to get somebody to do something that a court has already deemed them to do. So, a lot of people who use the court thing, they really haven't, either for the guys who've done it, guys like us who've done it, we know that that's a long process, and it could be years just to get your visitation corrected, because there's numerous slaps on the wrist they give mothers, and women know this. Women who have kids and who don't have kids know this. So it's a bit it's phony to act like people don't know that. So what winds up happening is there's always an excuse, and what you normally have to do is get the person caught in that bubble of that particular thing on numerous occasions. Okay, see, you how can I say this? And in that interim, you still might not be seeing your kid or talking to your child or parenting your child or having or building a relationship with your child, or the other parent might be tearing that relationship down because they're in their feelings. Like, that's something that people don't want to talk about, right? Because when it comes to fathers, it's finite. This is what it is, and blah blah blah. When it comes to mothers, everything is just, I don't know. Maybe she choked on some Cheerios one day and she just had an attitude and it was that. Like, it's too much. It's too childish. But I'm getting at something moving forward. Now, what happens is this: when you teach disrespect, when you teach your child disrespect, they go out to the world and be disrespectful. So then there's gonna come a point where good cop, bad cop comes in. Well, I gotta call your daddy because you acting bad. And they're acting the way you taught them. See, now now some of these mothers want to call these men to be fathers in their children's lives when they were the very same one pushing kids out of their lives. Like, give you an example. You could call. Okay? They don't answer. Your kid can be with you and call their mother. Their mother don't answer. Right? And then when their mother does answer, or if their mother does answer, she assumes that you're parenting the same way she's parenting. So she doesn't want to talk to her own child because she thinks you as a man, you're doing the very same things that she does as a mother in her household, which is trying to drive a wedge between the child and the father. And, so this persists. Your kid this type of toxic behavior can persist until your kid gets a phone. Now, this is where I'm going to tell you, get real. If your kid gets their own phone, their own tablet, and they can, like WhatsApp or Skype or Google Hangout their other parent, and in a form of a FaceTime, and they still can't do it because that other parent gets in the way. What does that say? Like, really, what does that say? Because that's what's normally happening. For guys who kids live in a different state, they can tell you what winds up happening normally. Guys buy plane tickets. Sometimes their kids come, sometimes their kids don't. You got to get insurance on your plane tickets because, sometimes, like I said, your kids come, sometimes they don't. There's been a lot of missed flights. There's been a lot of, and sometimes you can't get your money back on your tickets because sometimes they don't even inform you or the airport that they're going to miss the flight. So if you get caught up in a particular situation where they just decide not to go at the last minute, and you calling to make sure the kid is made the flight. If you don't call to make sure that kid made the flight, you might not get your ticket money back even with insurance. Just saying. So, that's one thing. But like I said earlier, you teach the disrespect, you get the disrespect. Your kid goes out, you teach them how to lie, they go out lying to everybody else. You teach them that bad behavior is normal, because what happens is that a lot of times these kids are mimicking the behavior of the custodial parent. And a lot of times people blame single mothers because single mothers have a long leash to be able to do whatever they want in a parental sense and a legal sense of the extents that they can go with negativity. Like, they get a lot of slaps on the wrist. So what winds up happening is they raise these kids, and these kids think that you can disrespect particular people. You can lie to particular people. You can cover up stories against particular people. And then when they do that, and then they get older, and that becomes their norm, then that mother has to go out into these schools and these events and these child things, and they're seeing their child be viewed as them, and then people start looking at them as a mother as an issue. Like it ain't their daddy issue because that kid acting like you. You know, I've had these same conversations with my own son's mother. You know, oh, he's acting this way because of you. I'm like, no, because I don't do that. That's actually what you do. You know, and if he keeps persistent acting like that and following your behavior, guess what? People gonna start looking at you crazy. And what happens? You called it, right? And then people say, oh, I want you to be in your child's life. And that's a problem because, you see, the problem with that is if you do this much to push a person out, you can't be the person to try to pull that person back in because everybody knows it's a manipulation game with you. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of times when women take it that these guys don't want to be involved with their kids, that's not it. What it is, they don't want to be pushed out and pulled back in by you because you know the ideology that you're gonna let somebody be a father is still utterly ridiculous and so pervasive in society that you actually think you have the power to, I'll let you not be a father and I'll let you be a father when I feel like it. And usually that's where the split comes. You get what I'm saying? So for a lot of people, when you want the guy to be a father, now he's going to be a father, but in his way. You don't get to dictate how he's going to be a father to his child because at that particular point, when you try to make it work and try to be a consigliere, a go-between, a middleman for your kid because your parenting ideology didn't work and now you're trying to bring the father back into the fold but like still control the situation, guys looking at you like, man, no, you created this situation. No, obviously what you do doesn't work, so I'm not working with you because working with you got me pushed out in the first place. Now you want me to work with you to figure this out? No thanks. You know, I found out what the problem is and I fix it on my own. And I think a lot of times women need to stop condoning mothers who do this, and in some ways you need to stop condoning the children who think this bad stuff is the norm. Because even when we talk about the younger generation, hypothetically speaking, like the mumble rap generation, what was their norm coming up? What kind of music were they listening to coming up? What kind of parenting were they getting coming up? Because in some way, shape, or form, they're just a reflection of people 15, 20 years ago that raised them. It's just they look and sound a little worse because their norm was worse. So imagine what these kids are going to look like in 15, 20 years from now. You dig? I hope this went all together. All right, we out.